Hi, my name is Tiffany Shekleton, and I am here today to just kind of go over my big wins and my takeaways from the Growth Lead writing stations that I incorporated into my classroom this fall. So the first thing that I wanted to go through was kind of what we did. And the first thing that we did is we incorporated 3 stations into our writing time, with the beginning of it being a mini lesson. And I was able to get my mini lesson down to about an 8-minute chunk of time. And it varied what was taught in those mini lessons, whether it be a grammar skill that went with the type of writing that we were doing, or whether it was a big takeaway from the Lucy lesson on that day. And how I decided what the big takeaways were for the Lucy lessons were, I went in and just decided, what do my kids need to know on this day and be able to do successfully on their own? So with that being said, I would teach the mini lesson and then break them off into their 3 stations. And the 3 stations that the students worked on during this time were a teacher station, which was at the table here with me. And they were able to continue their writing process, but get that immediate feedback from me and have that conference. And every day when I met with them, I was able to follow up with what they left the table with from the previous day. So I was very much aware of what the kids were doing and what they needed to be doing. When they left my table, they went over and had an option of doing some sharing with a partner and using the mentor text to further develop the skills. This was the station that took the most amount of teaching, was because I wanted the sharing with a partner to be productive. And so with Greg and I, we had to work together on what that looked like. It took a lot of modeling. It took some lists of what they could do. It took some phrases of what they could say. It took this big checklist that Lucy has and broke it down to a mini checklist. But it was just very user-friendly for them. And then another awesome thing that they got very familiar with and had a lot of fun with were mentor texts. And what I would do is we had a variety of mentor texts, and then I tagged them to show what the student could look for and how they could use it in their own writing. And that was huge when we were doing quotations, that the students could look in the books. And it was huge when we did comma in a series, that they could look in the book. So that was really cool to actually bring books into writing. And the last station was simply just, they were on the mat writing. And they just knew their expectation. That was actually probably the quietest station. And they just did what they needed to do. So with that being said, students were roughly writing or in the writing process between 30 to 35-ish minutes 3 times a week. And what that allowed me to do was really zone in on the amount of teacher time the kids were getting. It increased the amount of time that the kids were writing, and it also kept their excitement every single day. There were no kid that had 15 personal narratives. The most any kiddo had was probably 3, and they were fantastically done. They all had the purpose of those things that we put on the checklist. The amount of time that it took me to complete this first unit of writing was at least 4 weeks earlier than I had done in the previous years. So I was able to have a longer writing time, a better writing time, in the end, in less time. So this has just been a fantastic addition to my classroom. I'm excited to launch Informative here in the next week and kind of mix it up a little bit. And the kids are so excited. So those are my takeaways from incorporating writing stations into my classroom. And thank you so much to those of you that came.